Alright, ladies and gentlemen, today I'm going to take a quick spin on this, a 2016 Suzuki GSX-R600. Alright, because of the forward leaning position of a Supersport, I've changed my camera angle so hopefully I'm not looking straight at the ground. We'll see, so apologies if the camera angle's a bit dodgy. Alright, we're away. Alright, this is a bit of a special day for me because this is my first spin on a proper Supersport. So I will preface this test ride by saying, if you're looking for a detailed comparison between this and say an R6 or a 636 or something, you should stop watching now because I've got zero experience on those bikes. However, there's two things I can tell you about this bike. I can tell you what it's like if you're transitioning from a learner bike, and I can tell you what it's like if you're tall, because I am 6'6", so I definitely tick that box. Let's try these brakes. Oh, look at that, absolutely miles before the corner. Okay, so the first thing to say is the brakes are good. This thing has 4-piston Brembo monoblocks, 2 of, so yep, can confirm they do a good job. I guess the next question, like I was saying, is, so what if you're coming off a learner bike? Me, I've been riding a CBR 500 for the last 12 months. What's it like being on a 600 Supersport? I would say fine. I find this quite manageable. It doesn't seem to have a power band as such. But then again, I've only used up to about 8,000 or 9,000 so far. I'm sure it's quite manic further up in the rev range, but that's a little bit hard to explore on this road. But yeah, I guess if you're coming off a learner bike, I actually think the brakes are going to be a bigger surprise for you. Just using those brakes then, it is night and day compared to my CBR 500. The 500 is a 4-finger braking situation, and you've got a single 2-piston caliper on a single disc pulling you up, so the braking on this thing is like astronomically better. Fantastic. The engine, I don't think the engine's going to frighten you. It's way more urgent than a CBR 500, obviously. But I've just not long ridden an MT-09, and this is way less intimidating for me coming off a learner bike to a big boy bike. This is way less intimidating than a MT-09, for example. So, in short, if you are looking for one of these after your learners is over, give it a go, I say. So the next thing, what's it like for a tall dude? So as I said, I am 6'6", which is about 200 centimeters, and I'm not gonna lie, I feel like a bit of a chimp curled up on this thing. The main problem for me is leg room. So the foot pegs are obviously higher than they would be on a CBR 500, and the whole knee tank foot peg situation means there's a lot of pressure around my hips, and I'm pretty tight in the hips as it is. So when I first got on it, it was a bit uncomfortable. Having said that, I'm now 20 minutes into the ride and it's not getting any worse. If anything, it's getting better. So it might just be that my body's not used to being curled up in this position and needs a bit of time to get used to it. So I guess it all comes down to what kind of riding you're going to be doing. If you're a tall guy and you want to do big long Sunday rides, this is going to be pretty brutal. But if you're really only interested in short blasts of an hour or two, I reckon you could put up with it. Jeez, I love that sound. So this thing's got a titanium exhaust as standard, and that end can sounds fantastic. So like I was saying, folks, this wasn't supposed to be a comprehensive review of a GSX-R600 because when it comes to sports bikes, I've got no idea what I'm talking about. So I more just wanted to give you the perspective of someone who's come straight off a learner bike and whether I think it's manageable. Short answer to that is absolutely. This isn't going to frighten you. In fact, it's a hell of a lot of fun. Second part, tall guys. Tall guys beware. There is not a lot of legroom on this. You're going to feel bunched up. But if a Supersport bike's what you're into, you'll find a way to live with it, I reckon. So now I know what all the fuss is about. My first ride on a 600 Supersport. Hell yeah. GSX-R600, man. It may not be the newest of the 600s out there. In fact, I think they've had this design since about 2008. But I'll tell you what, if you're coming off a restricted license and you want a well-mannered sports bike, have a look at one of these. Especially if you're in Australia, because these things are way cheaper than the other 600s in Australia, which might be a factor in your decision as well. Have a look at one of these, see what you think.